Hello everyone, Happy New Year. First time I've gone live in 2018. Wow, I made it to the 4th of the month. I don't know if that's slack or if it means that I've had an amazing couple of days off. Well, not off working, but off Facebook Live. It's been great. So I am super excited to be here with you today, and we're going to be having a chat with Jake Ballentine. Let's have a look.
Hey, am I in?
We have you here. Welcome, Jake.
All right, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Let me get all situated.
There, now I've actually got my headphones plugged in. We were actually on Zoom before and I forgot to plug my headphones into my phone. So now everyone will even be able to hear me better, which is a bit exciting.
Sounds good.
So absolutely. So I'm super excited to chat with you today as it's the beginning of a new year.
Yes.
So before we jump in, I'm going to be super formal and introduce you as the author of your #1 goal, which is a great place to start in 2018. So you're also a contributing author in Jack Canfield's Living the Success Principles. Amazing. Jack Canfield, yes, I think he is, I have a bit of a fan over him. And you're also the founder of the Speakers, Authors and Coaches Network. And over the last 5 years, you've presented at hundreds of events and inspired more than 250,000 people with your unique brand of motivation and positivity. So I'm really, really, really excited and grateful to have you joining us here today to set the standard for 2018.
Well, I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we were having a little chat before we jumped on, and one of the things I said, and I'd love to actually start off with, is that I've had a few mentors and people in my world just recently say that they don't believe in goal setting. So I know I've got my ideas of what I believe, but I'd love you to share straight up, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, obviously, I'm a guy who wrote a book about goal setting, so obviously I'm going to be pro goal setting. But I think I get where some people are coming from, because some people have the perspective of, look, you're just spending all this time setting goals and setting goals and setting goals and not taking action. But a goal without action really means nothing. That's just a wish. That's just a dream. And a dream is something that we do. That's something that we do while we're asleep and we're drooling on a pillow. And that's not what this is about. This is about you got to have a crystal clear vision of what you want to create, a future that you are committed to creating, and then you take all the action that you can towards that goal. I think goals are really important, not because, let me put it this way, goals with an S can sometimes be a problem. But if you focus on one goal, or maybe 1 to 3 goals. I mean, my book is called Your #1 Goal for a reason, and that's because I found that when I tried to focus on a bunch of different things, nothing ended up happening. And it wasn't until I focused on one thing at a time. There's the old saying that says, if you try to catch 2 rabbits, you will catch none. And I believe that that's so true. So for me, rather than talking about goals, I'd rather focus on a goal, your #1 goal, and that's it. And focus on that with laser focused, and that's going to help you actually achieve that.
Yeah, and I really love that you've differentiated there, because now I don't actually know if any of my clients are on the call, but they know that I'm like, one thing. We're focusing on one thing only.
Yeah.
And the other thing I love about that is, you know, quite a few years ago, The Secret was the big thing. And don't get me wrong, I love the movie The Secret. I think it's fantastic. But I think that missing piece is we can't just put it on a vision board and expect it to happen. Like, what do we have to do to make it happen?
Are you telling me?
That's a really great question.
Are you telling me that you have to do something to make your dreams and goals happen?
I'm not telling you.
You're telling me I have to do something? I can't just think about it? I can't just, oh, come on.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish? No, not at all. I don't even wish. I love taking action. I think that there's a really amazing satisfaction in actually achieving goals.
Of course. So my wife is a fantastic writer. And I was talking to her once, and she was talking about just how hard it is to write a whole book. You know, put this whole now. You know, honestly, nonfiction self-help that's not. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's not. It's nowhere close to what a novel is. That's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was talking to her about the process. You know, putting the process in. And it's about the journey and the process. Because I said, look, if you woke up tomorrow and you're in some Twilight Zone episode, and all of a sudden you realize that you were J.K. Rowling and you had all this success, would you have that fulfillment as if you achieved it? And she said, no, it would feel like I was a fake. It would feel like nothing. And the reason why is because the journey is where we grow. It's not about achievement. It's about growth. And that's what I find there. Yes, going back to your first question about there being issues, you going back to that question about there being issues with setting goals and doing those kind of things. What matters is maybe for some people, maybe for whatever reason that doesn't help you, and then all the more power to you. Do whatever it takes to have you so that you are you're going up, you're moving forward, you're having progress. That's really all that matters. Yeah. All I can share is the things that have worked for me and the people I've worked with.
Yeah, awesome. So I would love to tap into the way you set goals, because as I've already mentioned this morning, you get a lot of speaking gigs a year, and I'm guessing that doesn't happen by luck, or as I like to say, accidenti. You know, it happens by setting goals and knowing exactly where it is that you're heading. But it's not just about setting the goals to get 50 speaking gigs, because that might not actually be aligned with what it is that you're trying to achieve. So I'd love it if you could take us through your process of setting goals, why you want to set them, and then how you set them.
Yeah, totally. So someone earlier, I just remember seeing it on there, said, how on earth can you pick just one goal? And that kind of goes back to how I set the goals and how this process comes together. Really what it has to start with is, what is your long-term vision? You have to start with, what is your vision? And I like to focus on just 3 to 5 years, because beyond that, I don't know, you don't know what's really going to happen, what your life situation, what your attitudes, things change. But let's focus on 3 to 5 years. What is it that you want to create over the next 3 to 5 years? Then from there, you're going to narrow that down to, what do you want to accomplish over the next year? What is it that you need to accomplish in order to get to that vision for those 3 to 5 years? But then I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's narrowing it down further. Now, when I say your number one goal, I like to think about it this way. What is the one thing that you can focus on that will get you closest to that vision of what you want to create in 1 year? What's the one thing that you could do that would get you closest to that vision, and then get tunnel vision on that? Let's get rid of all the other things. Just focus on the thing that's going to make, it's going to move you the most. There's the 80-20 principle. Are you familiar with that? The idea of 80-20?
Yeah, Pareto's principle.
Yeah,
totally.
So we spend 80% of our time to get 20% of the result, and we spend 20% of our time to get 80% of the result. Really, this just comes down to, what is that thing that's going to move us the most? And for someone listening, maybe your vision is about your business, but deep down inside that you can't reach your goals and your vision for your business if you're in your current state of health. And so it might be not exactly related. It might seem like, well, I don't know if this is exactly related. Well, maybe you don't have the energy that you need, and the first thing you need to tackle is your health and your mindset, or maybe you got all that going, and maybe you want to create, maybe you have a big vision for what you want to create, but none of that's going to happen in your business if you don't have cash flow coming in. So maybe the first thing is, okay, how do I bring in more clients? How do I book more speaking gigs? How do I sell more product? Whatever it is that you do, maybe you have a bigger vision, but you have to start off with, my problem is I need cash flow. And I don't know what it is for the people listening and watching, but basically I just start with that long-term vision, narrow it down, and then narrow it down, narrow it to one thing that I'm focusing on. And then it goes even further down to, what do I need to do over the next month, what do I need to do over the next week, and what do I need to do today? And then if you narrow it down like that, you're in alignment with what you're trying to create. Every day, you don't need to have this existential crisis of what am I doing? What am I doing towards my future? What do I do today? No, you know exactly what you need to do. You don't need to even, in fact, I tell people, once you figure out what you want and you've narrowed it down, forget about the long-term vision. Just focus on the next 90 days. That's it. Focus on the next 90 days, put your head down and go to work.
Now, I'm just going to jump in here. I love what you've talked about so far. It's totally the way I do my goals. So I'm a bit excited that we're doing the same thing. But I wanted to touch back on not understanding and knowing your end goal, because you talked about, it might be your health, it might be your cash flow. And I think that I'd love to tap here in that. I believe, and it sounds like we've got the same belief here, that your business is just an extension of your life. It's not a separate thing.
Not at all.
And knowing your end goal will help you to actually set your business goals. I have a lot of people coming to me and saying, I want to create this impact. I remember I had a client once that said, all I want to do is save dogs in Bali. And I'm like, okay, well, let's shift your focus, because her thought was, I can't afford to just go and sit, and save dogs in Bali. And we set her goals in her business so that we could make sure that she had enough money to do it, and free up enough time so that she could go to Bali 3 times a year and actually live that out. And I know that I was having this same conversation with a client yesterday, and we were talking about a charity that we both wanted to support. And it's not about setting the goal to support that charity. It's, as maybe a 90-day goal, but knowing that that's the end goal. What do we need to do in our business to make sure that we can support that charity? And that's what I was hearing you say, that being very clear on your end goal isn't necessarily the same as a business goal.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on, so what is it that you want long-term? And that could be about, this is the kind of life I want. For me, my family is huge. That's really all I care about, and what I want to create for my family. I'm creating and building and strengthening my business to serve the goals for my family. And I know the lifestyle I want to live, and my business is the vehicle to get me there. So, I mean, it really comes down to that. There are a couple of things you talked about when setting goals. There's really 3 things we got to focus on. And it's number one, what do you want? Most people don't think about that, but what do I actually want, and get clear on it? The second thing is, why do you want it? Why is it important to you? Because your reasons, if your reasons are stronger than your excuses, you can do anything. But if your excuses are stronger than your reasons, it won't happen. It just will not happen. And then the third thing is, how are you going to get there? But most people just jump. Most people say, I kind of have a vague idea of what I want to create. And then they jump right into, how am I going to get there? And they don't think about why it matters to them. And then they set a goal. They don't actually care about it. They set a goal. They get to that hard part. They get to that struggle. And then they quit and they give up because they don't have the drive behind it. Then they jump to the next goal. And then it gets hard. And then they quit and they give up because it gets hard. And then they just jump from one goal to the next, to the next, to the next. And then they say, wow, this goal setting stuff is stupid and it doesn't work. Or I'm not capable, or whatever. But the real problem is, they don't have a powerful enough why to help them stick with that goal. And I think that's why it's really important to get very focused on what you want and why it matters to you in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So how do you have a process of how you figure out what it is that you want? Do you have a process where you sit down, every 90 days at the beginning of the year? Can you take us through how you begin to know what you want?
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of 90 days or beginning of the year, right now, we should be talking about this year. But if you're starting in 3 months, if someone's watching this in March, then March 1st is a great time to start. Wherever you're at is the time to start. Yeah. And really what it comes down to is just start out. Don't judge your thoughts. Don't be critical of yourself. Just start writing. What do I, take a pen and a paper and write down, let's see, what 89, let's say it's 2022, and write that at the top of your page. Write 2022 and just start describing the way you want your life to be. And don't be ashamed of it. Don't be judgmental of it. Some people are embarrassed about how small their goals are. Some people are embarrassed about how big their goals are. Do you, be authentic to you, and actually focus on what you care about and what you want. And take some time just to start writing. Just start writing and take as much time as you want. Here's where it gets a little more challenging. What you want to do is narrow it down to just, you might have written several pages. Now let's narrow it down to describe your life in one paragraph in 2022. Describe your life in one paragraph. At that point, you're going to find out what was important enough for you to keep inside of that paragraph. And the restrictions there, now someone could say, well, this whole page is a paragraph because there's no indentation anywhere. You can cheat if you want, but it's not going to help you. You just focus it down, and it's just about narrowing. And when you put those restrictions on it, that's when you figure out, okay, these are the things that really matter to me and the things that don't. So that's my idea. And what I talk with people about is starting out broad and then putting restrictions so that you narrow it down, and you then figure out what actually matters to me and what doesn't.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the paragraph idea. I've never heard that before. And I think that's really good. I went through a similar sort of process that I found online on the 1st of January. I don't set resolutions as such, but I definitely do set goals, because I believe that it's like getting into a car without a roadmap and having no idea where you're going. Like, you just go in circles. But I wanted to add in there that I think that not only knowing what you want, but asking yourself better questions. You don't need to know how you're going to get there right now, but ask yourself a great question, or, be open. So for me, I was having trouble around contribution. Contribution is a huge thing for me. And I was just having a block, like, where I wanted to set my focus this year. And it was funny because within seconds on my newsfeed, all this stuff kept coming up, and I watched videos and went, yeah, that's it. So by asking the question for myself, like, what do I want it to look like? I don't know, might be woo-woo, but all this stuff did come into my world that had me opening my eyes and going, yeah, okay, that's the answer that I was looking for.
Well, earlier you talked about the secret. You talked about that and the problem not being. But okay, yes, there's some problems with not working, but there's also some truth there, some real truth.
Yes.
Have you ever got a new car that you've never seen before? So I a couple months ago, I bought this dark charcoal colored Prius. I'd never seen that color of a Prius before, not once. I bought the car. I see it everywhere. I see it all over the place, but I never saw it before. Why? It's because I'm looking for it now. Now I'm looking for it. And now I see it, because whatever you're looking for is what you're going to see. And when people set a goal and then immediately say, yeah, but I don't know how to get there, now you're going to find all the reasons why you can't get there. Yeah. Now you talk about asking better questions. When you set a goal, instead of saying I can't, start saying, how can I? How can I do that? Where are the ways that I can find that? And if you look for them, stop just telling yourself you can't do it, and just figure out, just be open. Just be open to the possibility before you shoot yourself down. Yeah, love that. I love that you do so much public speaking. And I know that there's a lot of people in the group. Obviously, we've got some amazing thought leaders in this group. And you and I would both agree that one of the best ways to get our message out and create a much bigger impact is to be speaking in front of large groups. And I know that there's a lot of people here that are joining us today that are really interested to do that. So I would love you to take us through
how did, like, obviously you had this idea that, or you had a goal that you wanted to speak to more people or bigger groups or get these paid speaking gigs. Once you decided that you were going to do that, I'd love you to take us through the process of how did you actually achieve that?
Yeah, well, so for me, I started out, this was 7 years ago. I decided that I wanted to be a speaker and that I wanted to speak to youth audiences. I wanted to speak to high school students and leadership conferences, and just kind of take you briefly through that. You know, since that time, it's turned into my full-time profession. It took me about a year of
Mm-hmm.
work before it turned into my full-time profession, and I do about 50 of those a year. And I've been to 43 states across the United States speaking. So most of the United States. I haven't been out to Australia yet, maybe sometime soon. But
Yet.
yeah, haven't been there yet, maybe sometime soon. But really what it started with was first that being open to the idea of how can I? And I found a
Mm-hmm.
coach to work with. I think it's really important. Success leaves clues. So I found someone who knew what they were talking about, and I learned from them. And from what I've learned from them, and I went to every single speaking course and conference you can think of. You know, anyone who has a course about it, I've taken, and I've gone to those events because I want to learn from everyone who's been there before. So I
Mm-hmm.
go and I start doing that. And here are the things that I learned and that I have been able to implement and make work. And then I've been able to help
Mm-hmm.
other people implement as well. Really, it starts with understanding who is your buyer. Who is, now we
Mm-hmm.
talk about ideal audience, and that might be true. Maybe you want to speak to the corporate world, maybe associations, maybe nurses, maybe high school students, whatever. That's great, understanding that. But what you really need to understand is who is the person who is contracting you to come in to speak. That's your actual client, not the people in the
Yeah.
audience, the people bringing you in. And this sounds bad, but ultimately, people are selfish. And I don't mean that as a negative thing. We need to use that to our advantage. Ultimately, people are selfish. And what I mean by that is we need to care about what they care about. And if we figure out what they
Yes.
care about and give them what they care about, it won't be any problem. But if you go in saying, this is what I do, and I'm so great, and everyone should be excited to listen to me, it's not going to work. So you got to figure out,
Yes.
it just won't. You got to figure out who's your ideal buyer, who's that person who's going to bring you in, whether that is an event coordinator for an association, whether that's a
Mm-hmm.
president, CEO of a company, whether that's a principal or leadership advisor, whatever it is, program director at a college. It doesn't matter. You got to understand that person. So first figure out who that person is, understand them, find out what they want, and then give them what they want. And before
Yeah.
those things, nothing else matters. Nothing else. It doesn't matter if you contact 1,000 different organizations. If you don't understand what they want and you're not able to offer them what they want in their language, it does not matter. But once you figure those things out, there's some non-negotiables that you need to have. After you have those, the non-negotiables are you need to have a demo video of you speaking on stage, out of a 3 to 5 minute demo video of you speaking with testimonials, preferably from your ideal buyer, from people like that.
Yep.
And then so you get the testimonials, you get the demo video, put that all on a website. Make sure that the copy on the website is in the language of your ideal buyer. That's why you got to understand who they
Yes.
are. You got to speak to them. If your website is for everyone, it's for no one. It really is. It's for no one. So you gotta at least, maybe you have other things on your website. You gotta have a page that is for speaking and that is for your
Yes.
ideal buyer, not for the audience, for the buyer. And really, that is where most people drop the ball. Is they don't think about who that buyer is, what they want, and then create their. They might create a demo. They might create a website. They might have testimonials, but it's not. All of this stuff needs to be pointed at what the ideal buyer wants and cares about. And if you can do that, then your contacts with those people, it's going to be so much easier because you are speaking their language.
Yeah, no, I love you. And I'm going to just jump in here for 2 seconds because you said that, ultimately people are selfish. I'm going to reframe that a little bit. Only because, and it's funny, now you've taken my limelight, so I was going to do a Facebook Live on this later. I actually don't think it's that the people are selfish. I think that it's just that people put their intention in the wrong place. And I have spoken about this so much this week with clients, that when the intention is on, like when you put it on yourself, like I need more money, or I want to be famous, or I want this, or I want to be sitting on a beach sipping cocktails, it's just not going to work. That's where the problem is. The intention does need to be on the other person of if I want my life to be on the beach sipping cocktails, how do I make that so that it works best for my clients? How do I add the most value to my world? So it's not that the other person's selfish, it's just that they've got a problem. So we need to put the intention on solving the problem for that person.
Well, and to be truthful, I'm a storyteller, I'm a speaker, and for me, it's all about what is going to get people to remember what I'm saying. And when I say people are selfish, they remember it.
And I knew why you did it too, and that's why I went back to it, because I thought, not only are we going to remember that, but let's have a conversation around that and really drive that point home, because it's so very, very important.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, we all have friends who will contact us about, can you vote for me on this thing, or can you support this thing, or whatever, and it's like, okay, I want to help you, I want to do something, but then when someone does something that I actually like, I don't have to be asked to do it. I'm like, yes, I want to do that because I'm getting something from it. I'm benefiting from it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that, like, we want to help other people, but there's only so much time in the day. And if you are focusing on what the other people want instead of what you want, and we talked about this before, give people what they want and then give them what they need. Because you may have, I've talked to a lot of speakers who says, no. What I have is the answer. I have the answer that's going to help people. And then they go off on a topic that their buyer doesn't care about. And they don't, and they're not being booked. And the reason why is because their buyer does not care about what they're talking about. So if you focus on it, what you can do is just, okay, what is it that they want? How can I give them what they want? How can I sell them what they want? And I'm going to deliver on that. It's not that I'm not going to, but I'm still going to give them what they need as well. And you can do that. You just gotta take a step back from yourself and stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about them. And that's going to change everything when it comes to you getting on stages.
100%. 100% love that. Now, you talked about having your page on your website, having your demo reel, having your testimonials. Obviously, the day you did your first talk, you didn't have that. Let's be honest.
Nope. It was horrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. let's not paint that picture. But okay, let's be real now. How can people get started? Because I don't like subscribing to the camp that everything needs to be perfect. I think that we can make things better as we go, but the best time to start is now. It's today. And we can't get better if we don't jump in there and do it in a not so good way right at the beginning. So how do we get started?
Yeah. So I like what you talked about there. So we can use that as there's an acronym or it's not initials or whatever. MVP. Minimum viable product. That's what we need to focus on. So if you just put out a junky video, it's not gonna fly. It's not gonna work. But there is also, you could spend forever. You can spend tons of money, tons of time making this perfect thing, and then you're just gonna replace it in 6 months anyway. So what I would say is, okay, so figure out roughly who you want to talk to, whether it's an adult world, or it's a youth world, or it's a college world, or it's the medical profession, or some kind of association, whatever it is that you want to talk to, and start thinking about your personal network. Get started with your personal network. So you think, okay, let's say I want to speak to salespeople, and you just start going, okay, I know someone who owns an insurance agency. I know someone who's a manager at a real estate company. Whatever it is that you know, start off there, saying, hey, can I come and speak? Totally free. Can I come and speak to your group? Can I come and speak to your company? Can I come and this is what I have to offer? You want to start off with people you know, because even if you're giving something away for free, you still have to sell it. And when they are someone who doesn't know you, if you don't have a video, if you don't have a website, if you don't have testimonials, they're still going to go, well, it's not worth the time. I'm paying all these people to be here. So it's still costing me money to have them come and listen to you. So it's got to be good. So
Yes.
you start with people who know you, and you start out there, and your first speech might be in front of 10 people, but it doesn't matter. Get that filmed, make some great cuts from that 10-minute speech. One quick pro tip, if you will, is make sure that you get good audio. Lots of people will film themselves, and their audio is terrible and it's unusable.
Yes.
We live in a YouTube world today. We are okay with video not being great. But if the audio sucks, we can't deal with it. You can spend $60 on Amazon, or $60 US anyway, on Amazon to get a Rhodes Lav mic that hooks right to your lapel. You can plug it right into any smartphone and it will record great audio. Do that, have it filmed, and then get a letter of recommendation from the person that is your friend that brought you in. So get a letter of recommendation, have a video, get some testimonials from some people there, film those testimonials so they're telling you, Samantha was great, she was awesome, we loved having her come, she really made a difference in our organization, yada, yada, yada. You take all of that, and now you just put it on a website. You put it on a website, you put the demo video together, you put, and it's just simple. It's nothing big yet. It's just so people can see you. You're not going to go out and get your next gig is not going to be the multiple thousands of dollars gig. You're probably going to do another free gig next. But what you're going to do is now you're going to talk to that person who gave you the letter of recommendation, and you say, who else do you know that would benefit from my message? They're going to say, you know what, that was great. So your friend runs a Keller Williams branch. They say, well, hey, guess what? There's 10 other branches within a 2-hour drive. You can now go to those and say, Jim told me that I should contact you because I was at Jim's branch and he loved it. And in fact, here's a letter that he wrote about how great it was, and you can give him a call. Now, not every single one of those is going to book you, but maybe 2 of them will, maybe 3 of them will. And then you just start building and building like that based on starting off with who you know, your personal network. And every time along the way, when you get to a bigger and bigger venue, you're going to film it again. You're going to get more testimonials. And then down the road, you got a fantastic video, a real stuff. I mean, you could go out and rent an auditorium and go up and speak on the stage. I'm not knocking that. I know people who have done that. And it can be great if you can do it. Most people can't because they're acting at that point instead of actually speaking.
Yes.
I mean,
and you're not getting the practice either.
No, you're not. I'm just saying that there are some other options, but really start off with this method. Think about who you know, start with your personal network, and then just go from there.
And I love that question. Who else do you know that needs to hear this message?
Yeah.
Fantastic question.
And I still ask that.
I might need to turn that into a tweetable.
Good. Well, I still ask that every single speaking engagement I do. It's not like I just do this at the beginning. Referrals, look, when people tell you that referrals just come to me and that's how it happens, I think for the most part, they're just trying to make themselves sound cooler than they are. Referrals come by asking for them. They come by seeking them and working on them. And I book a lot of business from referrals but it's from asking that simple question. You know, they say, hey, this was great. Thank you so much for coming. Great. Who else do you know that would benefit from this message? Well, okay, you could talk to this person and this person, this. Okay, cool. Do you mind if I use your name and share you as a reference? Yeah, that's no problem. You can give them my number. I mean, they know me, so great. Okay,
Yes.
now, hey, I just spoke over here. Jim said I should contact you. If you have any questions, let me know. But you can also give him a call and ask him for a honest review. And, you know, I've booked a lot from that, from just that method alone.
And I totally agree. Referrals are fantastic, and I also get a lot of referrals, but it needs a strategy. Again, we don't do accidenti.
Yeah, wishful thinking is not a strategy.
No, love it, love it. You're just popping out with all the really cool stuff today. uh, cool. So I haven't done any questions. If anyone's got any questions while we've got Jake here, for some reason they're not coming up on my screen. That's why I keep looking to the right, because I've got it up on the screen. Pop the questions in the comments if you've got any questions for Jake while we've got him here. But I believe that you have got an awesome gift today, Jake, for a 2018 gift, which I absolutely love.
Absolutely, yeah. So my book titled Your Number One Goal, a step-by-step guide for reaching any goal of any size. Right now you can get a PDF copy absolutely free. It's at yournumberonegoal.com. That's all spelled out, yournumberonegoal.com. And you know, someone that got it the other day, they, you know, entered their email, got the book, and they emailed me back right out. You know, it's an automated email, but they responded to the email and they said, "Oh my gosh, I expected like a 10-page, you know, ebook thing, and this is 122 pages. I was not expecting that." So this is actually my book that you could purchase, but I'm giving it away for free right now.
Thank you so much. I think that's just such a lovely gift, and it just goes to show that you're living exactly everything that you've been talking about today. Thank you so much for joining us, Jake. You have delivered a ton of value bombs, and I've really appreciated it and have loved having you on the call.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Any questions that anyone has, I'm an open book. I'd love to help. And thank you so much for having me.
Sure. And if you're watching the replay because you couldn't join us live, please pop your question below. Jake is in the group, and he, like he just said, he's happy to answer them, and we'd love to continue the conversation on the replay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Really appreciated your time. And like I said, best wishes for an abundance of health, wealth, and happiness for 2018. And I look forward to journeying with you all for the rest of the year. Thanks, Jake.
All right. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.